Okay, let me just list some amounts the Prem clubs have spent to start the video. Yeah, so you understand how ridiculous this is. Let's keep a baseline of £60 million. No, you know what? Just to shorten the list, let's keep a baseline of £80 million. And I know you're asking yourself, really? Are there a lot of clubs spending more than £80 million? Oh, just wait. Where are we? The beginning of August? Okay. Chelsea, £277.6 million. Tottenham Hotspur, £229.5 million. Manchester City, £153.1 million. Newcastle United, £114.6 million. Brighton and Hove Albion, £100.8 million. Liverpool, £89.5 million. Manchester United, £85 million. Aston Villa, £85 million. Ipswich Town, £83.2 million. Arsenal, £79 million. I'm adding Arsenal because they are just £1 million shy. So, at the beginning of August, 9 Premier League clubs have already spent more than £80 million, and Arsenal are sitting on £79 million, so I am dragging them into the list too, and the transfer market has a full month to go. Did you notice I said Tottenham, £229 million? Tottenham Hotspur, who nearly got relegated last year, they finished 17th, go and check, have spent £229 million so far. That is how rich the Prem clubs are. You want to know how many La Liga clubs have spent more than £80 million so far? Make your guess. We have Barca, right? Yeah, £102 million. We have Real Madrid, right? £100 million. And we have Atletico Madrid, right? Yeah, £102 million. And then you want to know the next club spending? Deportivo with, you know what? Guess. Just guess. £60 million? Nah. £50 million? £40 million? You're kidding. £26 million. Yeah, so apart from the big three, no one else comes close to £40 million. You know what? Let's check the Bundesliga. In the Bundesliga, of course we have Bayern, right? Yeah, Bayern with £102.5 million. Yeah, and we have Dortmund, right? No, Dortmund have spent £30.5 million. Wow, really? Yes, really. Okay, RB Leipzig? £20.5 million. The teams next to Bayern are Hoffenheim and Leverkusen with 50-something million pounds each. And Italy? Serie A? The only club above £80 million is AC Milan with £104 million. AS Roma are next with £68 million. And Ligue 1? Don't make me laugh. Only PSG spend in that country. Everybody else is under £50 million. Even with that, PSG have not bought any player yet. So then, let's come to our original question. Why are Prem clubs so ridiculously rich? Well, number one, there are too many famous clubs in England. I mean, if you introduce a new person to football and they look at the Prem, there are Man United, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Everton, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest. Yes, Nottingham Forest somehow have a fan base in Africa. Every weekend, two big boys face off against each other, so there is no shortage of entertainment. I mean, I love Barcelona and La Liga, but seriously, too many teams are not famous. If you're not a fan of the club, no one is going to tune in to Barcelona versus Alaves or Madrid versus Elche. Who is going to watch Barcelona versus Getafe? Whoa, hold on. If you're watching this video and really want to see an entertaining match in La Liga, yeah, watch any of the big three face off against these teams. It's always a laugh. Elche, Osasuna, Levante, Celta Vigo, Deportivo. For some reason, when these teams face the big boys, it's always funny. They play like their lives are on the line. Yeah, but you get my point. Barca versus Madrid is the big sellout, but they don't play each other every week, whereas the Prem has two big teams facing off against each other every week, which in turn brings more eyes to the league. Which then brings us to point 2, broadcasting rights or television money. Because there are more big games in the Prem, it brings in more television money because the Prem can charge huge amounts. And one thing the Prem does is give the teams a lot of that money to spend. I mean, promotion gives a club access to Premier League broadcasting and commercial distributions worth well over £100 million across the season. Even the team finishing bottom can receive around £100 million from the central pool. The Premier League does not give every club exactly the same amount, but the money is shared far more evenly than many people expect. The top teams receive more than the bottom club, but the bottom club still gets an enormous central payment. That is the real superpower. The Premier League did not only create rich giants, it created rich relegation candidates. And while the Premier League sells its television rights for billions, Ligue 1's domestic broadcasting deal collapsed so badly that the French league launched its own streaming service, Ligue 1 Plus, to show the matches itself. How depressing is that? So because this huge amount of money is given to the clubs, that's how they are able to go ahead, splash the cash, and get any player they want. I mean, if Sevilla want the same player as Brighton, good luck, Sevilla. Brighton have more money and can offer a better wage, so who is going to Sevilla? And if Sevilla somehow unearth a gem, Brighton will show up with £70 million and take that player away, and Sevilla can't do anything. And you notice I've not talked about the money they get from people going to the stadiums? How many times have you turned on a Prem match and seen a stadium packed to the brim? Fulham versus Wolves will still get a packed stadium. I have tuned into La Liga games and seen whole sections empty. This is top-flight Spanish football we are talking about, not some preseason friendly in an empty training ground, and the stadiums have empty sections. So the Prem clubs, on top of having all this TV money, also end up getting more money from stadium tickets. Then we have sponsorship. The league that everybody in the world is watching will end up getting the biggest sponsors, right? Yeah, so that brings them extra money, and the teams also get better sponsors, and they keep getting money, and they keep getting better. You get the point, right? It's like losing your girlfriend to a rich kid who keeps getting richer and richer. You are never getting your girl back. All the best players go to England. All the mid-tier players also go to England, which keeps increasing the viewership of the league, which increases the TV money, which increases the sponsorship, which increases, you get it. The teams in England will just keep getting richer and richer. It cannot get any worse, can it? It can. It absolutely can. You see that rich kid? His grandfather just died and left him a $40 billion empire. When you chuck in the rich owners of the Prem clubs, at this point we are having a laugh, aren't we? Almost every Premier League club is backed by wealthy individuals, investment groups, or ownership companies. And some are backed by fortunes so large that normal football money begins to look like lunch money. And to add salt to the wound, you see, the other big clubs around Europe need to really do well in the European competitions, like the Champions League, to get money. Big money to spend. But these Prem clubs, they don't even need Europe. They make the money just from their league alone, and crazily, that brings them the top-tier talent that the other teams in other leagues just can't compete with. And it is reflecting in Europe. Apart from the Champions League, which the teams better than the Prem clubs win, the other European competitions are basically a given that they are going to go to a Prem club. And it is even reflecting in the teams qualifying for Europe. If Brighton win their playoff, 9 teams in England are qualifying for Europe. 9. That's basically half the league. Half the league, ladies and gentlemen, will be getting European money on top of all the money they are already getting. In other leagues, this European money is a fortune, but the Prem is also taking that away from them. And we might as well chuck that into their money wheel, and it goes on and on and on. More money and more money. And now you will say, well, La Liga are also bringing 8 teams into Europe. Really? Really? Apart from Barca and Madrid, which team do you think can win a trophy? Go on, tell me. You think Villarreal or Betis can do something in the Champions League? Or Celta Vigo can win the Europa League? I can hear an argument for Getafe because of the absolute shithousery and haramball Bordalas will have the team playing, but come on, man. No chance for the La Liga teams, and that's the point. Like the saying goes, the rich will always get richer and rule the world. Man, I wish I was part of the rich. Is it true that when you get to be making $30,000 every month, money does not make sense to you anymore? God, I wish. Anyway, it's not all sunshine and rainbows for the Prem. All this money does not mean the Premier League is some perfect financial paradise where every club is rich, sensible, and responsibly managed. Once clubs know how much they can earn by staying in the league, they become terrified of relegation. And when fear enters the room, common sense normally leaves through the nearest window. A club sitting 18th in January may suddenly spend £70 million on players because losing Premier League status could cost far more than that. The logic becomes, yes, this transfer is risky, but have you seen the championship? So clubs overspend, increase wages, and hand out long contracts just to survive one more season. This also causes wage and transfer inflation. Premier League clubs have money, and everybody knows they have money. So when an English club asks about a player, the price mysteriously rises. A player might cost an Italian club €25 million, but the moment a Premier League badge appears, the selling club starts saying €45 million and refusing to answer questions. The same thing happens with wages. Players and agents know English clubs receive enormous television money, so their demands increase. Before long, an average squad player is earning superstar money because the club was desperate. Speaking of relegation, the biggest danger is that many clubs become heavily dependent on Premier League television money. While they remain in the division, everything looks manageable. Then relegation arrives, and the income falls sharply. Unfortunately, the players do not all disappear and take their contracts with them. A club may suddenly be earning championship revenue while still paying Premier League wages. This is why relegated clubs receive parachute payments. These are temporary payments designed to soften the financial fall and help clubs adjust to life outside the Premier League. But parachute payments create another problem. Relegated clubs may enter the championship with far more money than teams that have been there for years. So the system intended to protect clubs from collapse can also give them a major advantage over everyone else. I mean, football money is so funny sometimes. So yes, the Premier League's money makes it powerful, but it also encourages reckless spending, inflated prices, enormous wages, and financial dependence. The same television money that keeps clubs alive can convince them they are richer than they really are. And once clubs start spending tomorrow's money to survive today, all it takes is one bad season for the entire plan to collapse. But at that point, we are just doing wishful thinking, right? Because the truly elite Prem clubs will always be elite Prem clubs. Same way that guy who ran off with your girlfriend to Paris will then send her to Bora Bora and then Switzerland. So why does the Prem have so much money? Well, it is because the Premier League created the most valuable football television product in the world, and every club receives a piece of it. And then, if La Liga is the best league in the world, why are the teams poor, including Barca? Well, we have one man to blame, and the man, I almost said idiot, but I'm controlling myself, this man is Javier Tebas. I hate that man. Anyway, bye-bye.